The Seekonk Speedway podcast series is a production of Seekonk Speedway and Souza Media. For more information on Souza Media, visit kylesouza.com. And for more information on Seekonk Speedway, visit seekonkspeedway.com. Yet another edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind podcast series is here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to our podcast here at the Action Track of the East. My name is Kyle Souza, the owner of Souza Media, and of course, member of the Speedway family here. If you're joining us for the first time, I say it every time, but hello, welcome. Glad to have you here listening to the podcast for the first time. If you're here as a return listener, welcome back. We've got a lot to cover in this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind podcast series. Of course, the podcast, couple of different race recaps that we'll be talking about from a few different nights, and also going to be doing some preview action at the end of this as we get ready for a big night of racing coming up on July 15th with the Boston Louis Seymour Memorial and some really big names coming to Seekonk Speedway for this showdown. I'll get to that a little bit later on, but let's talk about some of the racing that's going on here in the last couple of weeks. I haven't talked to you in a little bit. Prior to chatting with you here today, we've had three events that I'm going to go through, a couple kind of quickly, and then we'll talk a little bit more in depth about some of our weekly racing. We had Open Wheel Wednesday, took place on Wednesday night, June 28th, $10,000 to win with the Tri-Track Modifieds in town for this main event, and it was Matt Swanson becoming yet another new winner of the Open Wheel Wednesday. In all the years this has been going on, this was the 18th year of the Open Wheel Wednesday Spectacular. Only two drivers now are multiple-time winners. Matt Hirschman has 5 of them, no surprise there, and Doug Coby has 3 of them, no surprise there either. And again, very competitive race every year with this division, with the Open Modifieds, and this year it was Matt Swanson. 1 hour to take the 100-lap distance. He takes the win. Austin Beers finished second. Third place was Matt Hirschman. Fourth was Richard Savory, and fifth, Doug Coby. So even though Hirschman and Coby didn't win, they still run in the front and have some phenomenal runs there in the Open Wheel Wednesday. Ryan Doucette finished 6th. That's a name Seekonk fans are probably familiar with. Ran some Legend Car stuff with us a few years ago. Wes Hinckley was 7th. Jake Johnson, a 2-time Seekonk Legend Car champion, he finished in the 8th spot. Joey Cipriano was 9th, and Sam Ramo finishing 10th. Great to have the Modifieds back in town. A good show there for them with Matt Swanson. Really his first big Open Modified win coming in that race. $10,000 to win event. Certainly no better one to pick up a win in for him. We also had the 350 Smack Super Modifieds in town for 40 laps. In their main event, it was Ben Tinker taking the win there over Brad Babb and Kenny White. And the NEMA Lights took to the track 50 laps, and it was Jake Traynor taking the win in the Seymour Racing number 29. Now, Jake also won the big Little 500 in Indianapolis earlier in the year on Memorial Day, and adds the Seekonk Speedway win to his 2023 credit on Open Wheel Wednesday. So Matt Swanson in the Modifieds, Jake Traynor in the NEMA Lights, and Ben Tinker in the 350 Smack Super Modifieds. Those are your winners from Open Wheel Wednesday. Great night for a midweek night of action on June 28th. Phenomenal showdown again at Seekonk Speedway, and really appreciate everybody coming out and joining us for that event. We followed that up just a few days later with NASCAR Saturday returning to the track on July 1st. Of course, Mother Nature here, been on and off with this Saturday night program so far this year. We haven't seen exactly everything that we've been looking for with the way the weather's worked, and a couple of cancellations and postponements. Of course, the biggest of those postponements was the ACT Tour race getting moved from June 3rd, and that will now be run in the middle of August. And so we did get Saturday night racing in on July 1st. It was a great night. 75 laps for the Pro Stocks was the headliner on this night. The American Racer 75. Now, American Racer's been a great supporter of Seekonk Speedway for many years, especially in our tire business, as the proud tire supporter of our Pro Stocks, and a couple of other divisions that run, including the late models. And they had a big night here on July 1st with the American Racer 75. $2,000 to win for the Pro Stocks. That's a big chunk of change there for a 75-lap race. And in the end of this one, no surprise here, Dave Darling takes down the win. Only running a part-time schedule this year is Dave Darling, but he really made this one count once again. It was his second straight win in the Pro Stocks. He had also won the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown Series race the week prior. He really spanked him in this 75-lap main event, too, passing Kenny Spencer on the outside and never looking back. Spencer, a former champion Great run for him to come home second. He's inching closer and closer to getting back to victory lane. But a really good run for Spencer to finish in second. Tom Scully Jr. finished in third, his best run of the season so far after struggling a little bit to get the year going. Fourth place was Darrell Stanfield. Now that's a name some of our older fans might be used to. Been around a really long time at Seekonk Speedway, and a great fourth place finish in this 75 lap main event. Great speed in that car. Apparently they've got some new parts in it, and he's really picked up the pace. So great for Darrell to come home fourth. And Dylan Estrella had a nice solid fifth place finish here. In this one, Bobby Pellin sixth, Mike Brightman seventh. Mike Mitchell, Kevin Casper, and Tommy Adams finished the top 10. Not the start to the year Mike Mitchell was looking for, obviously, in the number 40, and his return to Seekonk Speedway action just hasn't been quite there most of the year so far. And the other driver we're watching in the Pro Stocks that's not been as good as last year is Mike Brightman. I know he came out and he ran good the first week there in the Pro Stocks, picking up the feature win. But since then, he's had a little bit of a skid in the Pro Stocks. We'll see if he can get back to where he wants to be coming up here in the next couple of races. Dylan Estrella leads the championship battle in the Pro Stocks over Tom Scully Jr., Mark Jennison, Rick Martin, and Dave Darling, the top five. Mike Brightman is sixth. Colby Fournier and Kenny Spencer right now seventh and eighth. Remember, the playoffs are coming up, kind of more quickly than I think many people think they are here. In our playoff system, the top 8 drivers in each division are walked into the playoffs and have a chance to win the championship. Right now, the battle for 8th in the Pro Stocks is pretty close. You've got Kenny Spencer holding on to that 8th position, and he's just 4 points ahead of Dick Benoit. Tommy Adams is also 4 points back, and Bobby Pellin is 5 points back. I mean, this one is going to go right down to the wire in the Pro Stocks as we get into the middle of the summer months here. Pro Stocks have another big one coming up on Saturday night, July 15th, as the Tom Scully Senior Memorial Race will take place. 55 laps for them. An increased purse involved slightly in that one as well. So definitely want to be watching that as well. That's going to be 3 extra distance races in a row for the Pro Stocks. And when they come back on July 22nd, they're going for the extra distance again with a 60-lap race. So 4 extra distance races in a row for the Pro Stocks. Obviously, a lot of storylines there with the way Darling's run in his last 2 races, winning both. Dylan Estrella back full-time this year, leading the points early on. Mark Jennison's had an up-and-down year, one with Tom Scully Jr., and we mentioned the struggles of Mike Brightman the last few races. Colby Fournier and Kenny Spencer been bright spots in this division this year with good runs so far. So a lot of storylines there in the Pro Stock division. But for the sake of right now, it was Dave Darling taking the win on that July 1st show. The late models were also on track that night. Great 30-lap main event for them, right down to the final few laps. And it was Vinny Renegado versus Jacob Burns for the feature win. Just 14 minutes to click off 30 laps, and it was a Renegado using the outside lane to pick up his second win of the year. Burns would come home second, and Luke LeBrun, having a phenomenal year so far, he finished in the 3rd spot. Burns got by a Renegado early, took the lead, and it looked like Jacob was going to go en route to win number 2 in the year, but a Renegado did not let him get away easily and used the outside lane to make the pass for the lead and eventually the win in the late model division. So a good run there for Renegado 1 week after having to put his car back together due to an incident the week prior. Hard work worth of week there for him to get ready, and it pays off for him in a big way to get that number 17 back to victory lane for the second time this year in the late model division. He's the only 2-time winner other than Luke LeBrun so far. Both of those drivers have 2 feature wins so far in the late models division. Jacob Burns also picking up a win in this division a little bit earlier in the season, and that's it so far for the late models, those 5 races. We'll see race number 6 coming up July 15th. They are back on track with round 2 of their Triple Crown Series, and of course that one's 45 laps for the late models and a little bit of the extra distance action coming up. So congratulations to Renegado, and a great run for Burns and LeBrun finishing 2nd and 3rd. If you missed any of these races, you are definitely encouraged to check us out on YouTube. You can watch these races in full and see that race down to the end between Burns and a Renegado. It was a great one between the both of them battling it out for the feature win, so definitely check that out. And all of our races in 2023, you can watch them on YouTube here in the next couple of days right after each race they're posted, so definitely check that out. Sportsmen were also on the track. Round 2 of their Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown Series on July 1st. In round 1, we had that phenomenal finish between Chad Baxter and Steve Axon. In round number 2, not quite the same excitement in the finish, but a good run to the end for Randy Moretti to take his first win of the year in the Sportsmen's. He did win a race last year, but did not pass through post-race tech inspection. But this is technically now his first career win. He did pass inspection, and it is his first career win. 8 minutes, that's it for 35 laps in a green to checker main event. Randy Moretti, former Pure Stock front runner on Fast Friday, and he takes down the win in the number 5. Ryan Lynham finished second. Steve Axon, Chad Baxter, and Colby Lambert were in positions 3, 4, and 5. However, the technical gremlins caught Ryan Lynham. He did not pass inspection. That means Steve Axon moves up, finishes second, Chad Baxter third, Colby Lambert fourth, and Adam Petty fifth. And these names I mentioned have been the cars to watch here in the Sportsman early in the season. It's a clear group of 4, 5, 6 cars that are a little bit ahead of everybody else, with Adam Petty leading the points here, Chad Baxter second, Colby Lambert's third, Randy Moretti fourth, and Steve Axon fifth. Craig Pianca, the defending champion, been quiet when it comes to top 3s and wins this year, but consistent enough to put himself in a good position, P6 right now, as he will try to make it into the Sunoco Drive for the Cup to try to go back-to-back in what is going to be his final season of racing, he says. So it would be pretty cool if he could win back-to-back titles. He's comfortably in right now in the 6th spot. From there on back, it's a little bit of a wider gap between 6th place Pianca and 7th place Don Perry. And it's going to get very interesting as we go down the line here. Perry in 7th. Pepe, Jimmy Sylvia, is 8th. He's 1 point up on Ryan Lynham, who is 9th. And just 1 point up on Chris Gomes, who is 10th. And it's only 10 points back from there to Tyler Almeida, who is in 11th. Very close battle for that 8th spot here in the Sportsman's. As we get closer to the playoffs, we're going to continue to talk about this playoff system and who's going to make it and who's not. Stay tuned to our website and our Facebook for some stories on that as we get a little bit closer. But you can also check out the points, SeekonkSpeedway.com. And remember, it's the top 8 cars in each division that make it on NASCAR Saturday. So definitely one you want to watch as the 2023 season continues here as we hit the middle of July. The other race on July 1st was the Chaz's Auto Body Sport Trucks, 25 laps for their main event, clean and green in this one as well. And it was Mike Cavallero breaking that dry spell here in the Sport Trucks after really having a dominant truck for 2-3 races in a row. Just wasn't able to finish the deal with some technical and mechanical gremlins in the car. Nothing in inspection or anything. It just the car wouldn't stay running for him long enough. I guess the truck, not the car. But on this night, July 1st, he was able to seal the deal. Taking down the big win in the Chaz's Auto Body Sport Trucks. Cavallero had a great run, jumped down front right away, passing Jeff Bellier for the lead and did not look back. Cavallero beat Rick Martin, who finished in second. Our defending champion in this division, Martin, not quite the start of the season I think he wanted after winning so many races last year, has not been to victory lane here as we hit the middle of July. However, still been a good season consistency for him. He is second in this one. Jake Veneta, 2 wins already, finished in third. Jeff Bellier, he's the crew chief for Dave Darling, debuting in the trucks this year. 4th place for him, and 5th in this one was Brittany Campbell. Truck division, Mike Duarte leads the points. No wins yet for him either. Rick Martin is second, no wins for him. So it's 2 winless drivers right now at the top of the Sport Truck Championship battle, with Brittany Campbell, 2 feature wins in 3rd. Jake Venata, 2 feature wins in 4th. Amy Arsenal and Darrell Church are 5th and 6th. They have both not won. Cavallero jumped up to 7th with his feature win, and 8th is Bobby Tripp. Tripp is 5 points ahead of Tom Scully III, as it looks like those two, and maybe Cavallero will duke this out to see who's going to make the top 8. It honestly looks like anybody 6th up, as long as they don't have any type of issue, is going to get in pretty easily. So we'll see here in the truck division how close this gets around the 8th place battle. But good for Mike Cavallero to go out there and knock that monkey off his back, the mechanical monkey, and take down the feature win in the 25-lap feature on July 1st. So July 1, Dave Darling, the winner of the American Racer Pro Stock 75. It was Vinny Renegato in the late models. The Sportsman's round 2 of their Triple Crown Series presented by Everett's Auto Parts was Randy Moretti. And in the Sport Trucks, it was Mike Cavallero breaking that dry spell and getting to victory lane. All right, we're going to take a quick break on this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind. If you figured it out or if you haven't yet, the breaks are very short. I just give you a chance to grab something to eat or drink, give myself a chance to grab some water here, And we'll be right back. We're going to talk about Fast Friday racing, which took place on Friday night, July 7th. We had our Independence Day Thrill Show on July 8th, so no Saturday night racing, just Fridays to talk about here. We will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, podcast series rolls on here on a midweek special edition of the Race Day Rewind series. And we will have a guest coming up in the next segment. We will see who that's going to be. I will surprise you with that. Let's move on as we talk about Fast Friday from Friday night, July 7th. Good night of racing here. Really one of the first Fridays we had without the threat of weather, which is sad to say, but Mother Nature's not been too nice to us here in the early portion of the season on any of our nights, really. But as the segment shakes out here on Fast Friday, we had 5 divisions of feature racing. Round number 2 of the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown Series for the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits and the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaws. And we also had the Sport 4s, the Helgers Pure Stocks, and the Nix Pit Stop Legend cars in action. Let's start off with the Bandits. Round 2 of their Triple Crown for our youngest division of racers at Seekonk Speedway. And it was Mike Hannafin taking down the impressive win for the first time in his career. Now, Mike is the son of former Sportsman's champion John Hannafin, and been trying to win a race at Seekonk Speedway for a good portion of time in the Bandoleros, and really been trying to win a race in general in racing for a long time. I talked to John very briefly in Victory Lane, and he said, I've been trying to win a race with my son for 7 years, and this was the first one they were able to pull off together. He's so proud of his son. He says Mike just never quit. All those times of coming close, he didn't let that bother him. He just kept racing, kept fighting, and kept trying to get to Victory Lane. And guess what? Win number 1 for him on Friday. Hey, I know Fast Friday is a night where we're going to see a lot of first-time winners, especially in the Bandoleros, as these are the youth of Seekonk Speedway racing. But it's great to see when these drivers pick up their first career win. The reaction from the drivers, the families, the interviews. It's really a great sight. And it was once again here with Mike Hannafin taking down the win in the Bandoleros. Sam Macedo finished in second, the Green Hornet in the number 16. Really close battle to the end here between Hannafin, Macedo, and Parker Davis. It was Sam finishing second, Parker Davis in third, Nick Urey was fourth, and Mason Silva finishing the top 5. 4 different winners in the Bandits this year. Mike Hannafin, his first. Sam Macedo has 1. Parker Davis has 2. And Mason Silva in the number 31, also coming close to winning so far this year, has not yet. The other winner was Nick Urey Jr., his first career win. So 3 drivers so far with their first career win, and I would not be surprised to see Mason Silva pick up his before the season is over in the Triple Crown Series or any of the other races for the Bandoleros. And again, as the Triple Crown shakes out for the Bandolero division, that's a good run for Hannafin, puts him into the Triple Crown finale as well. We'll get to that in the next couple weeks on who's going to be racing in the finals in August for the Triple Crowns. In the Outlaw division, it was a battle between 2 more drivers looking to get their first career win when they came down to the end. And it is another first-time winner in the Bandolero division, this time in the Outlaws. It is Collin Vanasse taking his first career win. I remember talking to Mike Vanasse, his father. Of course, the Vanasse family with a long history of racing at Seekonk Speedway, whether it be with Mike, Ryan Vanasse, multiple-time winner, countless victories and a champion in our late model division. The Vanasses have been racing at Seekonk Speedway for a long time. Ryan Vanasse Jr. has 3 wins in this division so far this season. And I'll tell you what, watching Collin Vanasse, I knew it was coming. You just knew he was going to get to victory lane in this division before long. And Friday night happened to be the right time for him to put that number 78 in victory lane for the first time. Phenomenal run in that machine for him. And he takes down the very impressive victory in the number 78. Bryson Robideau finishes second. I know he wants to win for the first time in his career, but great run for second place. Nothing to be ashamed of there for him in the number 38. He's another driver that you just have a good feeling is going to win here before too much longer in the Bandoleros. Third place was Andrew Gromes. Ryan Vanasse Jr., I mentioned, 3 wins in 5 races. He finished 4th, and Dylan Calabro in the number 71 rounded out the top 5. You look at the Outlaws so far this year with Vanasse with 3 wins, Brent Robideau with 1 win, and now Collin Vanasse with a win. Some other names that are going to win here probably before long: Bryson Robideau, Andrew Gomes, and Dylan Calabro's picked up the pace here this year in this division as well, so we'll watch him. RJ Murphy's been better this year. Very competitive, the Bandolero Outlaw division. 17 cars took the green flag on Friday night. Isn't that phenomenal for a youth racing division in the Bandolero? 17 cars in a Bandolero division. Great run for Collin Vanasse, his first career win in the Outlaws. Sport 4 feature came right down to the wire with Jared Freitas versus Crystal Murray on a late restart. And it was Jared Freitas taking down his second win of the year in the Sport 4s. He ended up besting Sam Matera and Henry Lavallee on the podium. Tyler Duhanchik was fourth and Crystal Murray fifth. Crystal ran second when the field took the white flag. Had a run to the inside getting in turn one. She stepped on the brakes a little bit to try to get angled for the corner exactly how she wanted. The back end snapped out, got a little bit sideways and had to collect it and settle for fifth. But it was the second win of the year for Jared Freitas in the number 47. We had him on the podcast a little bit ago. And, great guy that kind of started racing here the last couple of years. Again, after many years off from being behind the wheel. Never really ran it full time. And he has been very impressive here in the Sport 4s this year with a different car. And certainly has speed in it that gives him the ability to go up there and run at the front of the field. So Jared's second win of the year. Good run for Sam Matera to get that TTM number 4 back to the podium after some time away in the number 4 machine. So that's it for the Sport 4s. 2 wins for Jared Freitas. He is the only 2-time winner on the season so far in that division. The Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, the first 3 weeks went to Scott Sestodio. He picked up victory on week 1, week 2, and week 3. However, weeks 4 and 5, he has not been to victory lane. It was Danny Massa a couple weeks ago, and on this edition of Fast Friday, most recently picking up his first win of the year was Ethan Souza. That number 30 has been good all year. Really has had the speed to win a couple events and just couldn't quite finish the deal. He was able to do it on Friday night, taking down a dominating and very impressive victory. Second place in this one was Sam Lincoln. A little bit of a rough ride for him early in the year. He's rebounded nicely on Friday, taking down second. And Jared Cadera as well. A little bit of a rough ride early in the year, taking home third. Danny Massa finishing fourth after winning, on that. That's our guest trying to get in contact with me here. I'll get him on in a minute. Danny Massa finished fourth, and Matt Talbot was fifth in the number 37. Great run for Talbot. His best career finish in the Pure Stocks. Greg Perry finished right behind him in the 6th spot. Sestodio finished 8th in this one. Had a flat right front tire running second, trying to chase down your leader in the late stages. Flat tire is not going to help him with that. And he was sidelined early and had to change that tire, come back out, and finish in the 8th spot. Nicholas Bulkley picked up his first career win in the next pit stop Legend Cars in the green number 27. Man, another first-time winner. 3 of them on Fast Friday. He was flying in that machine on Friday night. He and Jacob Burns had a great race to the finish. Very competitive finish for our fans to see. And in the end, it is Nick picking up his first career win. You know, I mentioned the first career wins. They're very important, and especially in this division as well. You could see the emotion in the family on the track after the race in the Legend Cars. It's very hard to win in any division, but especially in this Legend Cars division with the way this division works and all the competitive cars that we have in this division on Fast Friday. So when it came down to the finish in this one, you got the win going to Nicholas Bulkley in the number 27. Second place to Jacob Burns. Good run for him. Isaiah Newcomb was third. Richie Helger Jr., his best career Seekonk run in the Legends, finishing fourth. And Chase Sylvia, the young gun, rounding out the top 5. You look at the point standings in the Legends, a little bit skewed given the fact that Brandon LaBelle ran 3 races. He won all 3 of them. That's all he's run, though. 3 out of 5 so far. And he's holding on to the 8th spot, the final spot for the playoffs, by just 2 points over Jaden Hamilton. Not sure how many races he's going to run, but we'll see. When he's run, he's 3 for 3. But it hasn't run them all so far in the Legend Cars early in the 2023 season. We will see how that shakes out. That's 3 winners now in the Legends in the first 5 events of the year. We're going to take a quick break on this week's edition. That's it for our Fast Friday recap. Again, congratulations, Nicholas Bulkley in the Legends, Ethan Souza in the Pure Stocks. Career win number 1 for both Collin Vanasse in the Outlaws and Mike Hannafin in the Bandits, and win number 2 on the year for Jared Freitas in the Sport 4s. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. We're going to welcome on one of our Bandolero youth drivers. Collin Vanasse will join us after picking up his first career Seekonk Speedway win. Stay with us right around the turn. All right, joined by our guest here on this week's edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind podcast series. He is one of the 3 first-time winners from Fast Friday. I said it in the last segment, but Collin's been trying to win a race for a couple years now. come close in the Bandits many times, moved up to the Outlaws this year, and it seems like it's fit him even better than the Bandits did with the speed in that car. Of course, he's watched his cousin, Ryan Vanasse Jr., pick up 3 wins in the first 4 races, and then he goes out there on Friday night and parks that number 78 in Victory Lane. Collin, what was that like to get to Victory Lane, and what were the emotions like when you realized you had done it and you finally had won?
There were definitely mixed emotions, and it did feel really, really good to finally get a win after many years of trying and our highs and lows.
Yeah, I mean, so he's definitely had that. He's right? Between even this year alone, had some races earlier in the season that it looked like he was going to have a chance to win. Just kind of didn't shake out right. And he's, again, had some races back in the Bandits in the last couple of years that I said at the beginning of the race, well, look at where Collin's starting. He's going to run good. He's got a good chance. And it just didn't quite all fall together. And that's so important in these Bandoleros that everything has to come together to get to Victory Lane. Collin, take us through the last couple laps, though, because you almost didn't win the race. I mean, this was very competitive between you. Ryan was up there. You had Andrew Gomes up there. And you also had Bryson Robideau. This was a very competitive race that you were able to come out on top of.
Yeah, it was definitely very competitive. We were all really close and really good. The last few laps, I definitely got a little too excited and got super loose and almost lost the race. And I think Bryson led lap 13. But once I crossed that line for the final time, it was really something.
Yeah, I mean, he had the advantage as they crossed the line at the checkered flag. And really, in the end, that's all that matters. That's all they count the points for, and that's all they distribute the checkered flags and the trophies for is when you win. So he was able to pull it off. Collin, I know it's been a long time that you've been trying to win, but what's it like been working with your cousin, Ryan? I know you guys are very, very close. You guys are great friends. I know he's been helping you as well, and he was very happy to see you win, too. It must be great that you guys can do this as a family and go out there and have some fun.
Yeah, it was cool to do this as a family. And, when we're in practice or something, we can bounce ideas off each other, how to be faster, and we can work with each other in the race because we know what we can take and what we can't take.
Yeah, and Collin, your dad, Mike, has been working with Jacob Burns as well. Has he been helping you out as well, too? I know your dad's been working with him in the late models. Has he been helpful, too?
Yeah, he's been a big help all year. He's helped me kind of figure out how to move my line, how to adjust myself during a race to different situations.
Yeah, so that's great. Of course, Jacob, a multiple-time winner in the Legend Cars and also a winner in our late models, as I mentioned a couple of segments ago. He had a great run in the late models a couple of weeks ago, almost picked up the win, just came up a little bit short. And it's great to hear too that Jacob's been a major player in the season. Now, Collin, you've been running in the top 5 consistently. I know you got your win here, but what are your goals like here as the season goes along? Obviously, you want to win more races, but I'm sure you've got your eyes set on that championship in this division as well, right?
Yeah, I've definitely got my eyes in the championship. But right now, seeing as I'm locked into the Triple Crown, I'd like to go for that first. And then after that, I want to, depending on how our season goes, I really do want to chase that championship.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting as the playoffs shake in. Remember, the Bandolero divisions, it's only the top 6 drivers. And right now in the Outlaws, Zachary Keith and Dylan Calabro are tied for 6th. That's the final spot. RJ Murphy's only 6 points behind, and only 10 points back is Mike Eagle 4. That's going to be very competitive going down the stretch. Collin is up in 2nd, 12 points behind Ryan Vanasse, so he's comfortable for now in the race for this championship. But we'll see here after he's able to get his first career win. They say once you win one, the floodgates open. We'll see if that's the case here with Collin. I know we mentioned your dad. I know we mentioned Jacob Burns, Collin, but who are the people that are helping you? Maybe not even only the sponsors, but some of your crew, the other family members. Who are the people you want to shout out and thank that have been helping you to finally get yourself with a win?
Yeah, obviously my mom, my dad, all my sponsors, Ronnie Luro, Jacob Burns, Lamar & Sons, International CDL, Titan Vet Clinic, TP Concepts, ZF Lawns, the Side Draft Podcast, A&A Auto Parts, and Anchor Paws Rescue.
Oh, look at that. That's a great list of sponsors for a Bandolero. And again, the sponsors are so important in any aspect of racing, but especially here in the Bandoleros. When these cars are not cheap to run either. I think people sometimes think, oh, they're a Bandolero, they're cheap. They're definitely not. They may not cost as much as a Pro Stock, but they're definitely not cheap either. And, somebody like Collin to have all these sponsors, that's very important for him to be successful along with the rest of our drivers. Collin, you picked up win number 1. I'm sure we're going to see win number 2, win number 3 here as your career goes along at Seekonk Speedway. Congratulations again from all of us at the track, and we'll see you at the races here coming up in the next couple of days.
All right, thank you. See you Friday.
All right, that's been Collin Vanasse. We're going to take one more break here on this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind. When we come back, we will preview some of the upcoming racing, including Fast Friday, where Collin will be back on the track. Stay with us. All right, thanks to Collin Vanasse for joining us after his first career win in the Bandolero division. You look at these kids and picking up their first career wins. I said it earlier, but the emotion, the drive that these kids have to get to victory lane, and then watching what it's like for them when they do get to victory lane, it's very, very impressive, and it's really, honestly, heartwarming to see how much fun these kids have and the amount of excitement that goes through their minds and their body language and everything else. It's really a great moment. And if you haven't been to a Fast Friday, come on and check it out with our youth racing. Obviously, we have some drivers in our Sport 4s, Pure Stocks, and Legends that are a little bit older and older adults. But the Bandolero divisions, they're just so exciting to watch, and definitely exciting to see the energy and the momentum that the kids have around them in the pit area. So that's it for our Race Day Rewind portion. Again, thanks to Collin for joining us. Good insight there from him on his first career win. Now, let's talk about what's coming up here this weekend before I let everybody go. Friday night, July 14th, Fast Friday is back on the track. The Sport 4s take center stage again this week with the Triple Crown Series for their division. 30 laps will be the difference compared to the normal 25-lap distance for them. Round number 2 of their Triple Crown Series coming up. We'll have both Bandolero divisions, the Pure Stocks presented by Helgers, and, of course, the Nick's Pit Stop Legends on there as well. Saturday is the big day, as the NEMA Midgets, both the NEMA Midgets and the NEMA Lights, come to town for the Boston Louis Seymour Memorial Classic. Now, this is a very big midget car race that's been run at Seekonk Speedway for many years in collaboration with NEMA. Of course, this event starting back in the 1990s. And the list of talent for this event is unbelievable. And there's some stories that we've already put out on Facebook and our website. Check those out on some of the talent. But here's just some of the names. Kenny Schrader is going to be racing in this race. Now, Kenny's run some races at Seekonk the last few years with the Neiman Lights Midgets, and he's going to be back on Saturday night in the Seymour Racing Machine. Jake Traynor, who won the Indy 500, Little 500, not the Indianapolis 500, the Little 500 in Indianapolis earlier this year. I mentioned him in a previous segment. He is going to be racing again, coming off his big win on Open Wheel Wednesday. We've got Sammy Swindell. No explanation needed there on him. 3-time World of Outlaws champion and 5-time Chili Bowl Nationals champion. Cody Swanson, he's a 7-time USAC Silver Crown champion and also a 3-time winner of that Little 500. He's going to be racing on Saturday night. Of course, you've got 17-year-old Chase Locke, who won the Oswego Speedway Super Modified title already in his career. Todd Bertrand, PJ Sturgis, who's a multiple-time Boston Louis winner. Albie Ovitt is leading the NEMA Light points early on this year. We've got some guests coming from the USAC Midgets, including all-time wins leader Chris Lamb. Randy Cabral is a name Seekonk fans are probably familiar with, who's won this race before. He'll be back. Avery Storr, John Zink. I mean, unbelievable racing is coming up here in the Boston Louis. 50 laps for the NEMA Lights, 29 for the NEMA Midgets, and they are on track along with the Senior Tour Auto Racers, who make their one and only appearance of the year to Seekonk Speedway on Saturday night, July 15th. And we have 2 of our weekly divisions also on action with 2 special events. The late models will be on track with round 2 of their Evans Auto Parts Triple Crown Series, and the Pro Stocks will be on track with the 55-lap Tom Scully Sr. Memorial. Now, Tom Scully Sr. tragically passed away last year. The Scully family wanted to do something to commemorate his memory, and they've done it here. 55 laps for the Pro Stocks, 15 extra in their main event, and the late models in the second round of their Triple Crown. That's going to be exciting as well. All of it for just $15 at the gate if you buy your tickets online at SeekonkSpeedway.com. If you buy them at the gate, it's a little bit more, $3 more. But, man, there's so much action going on. You got a 55-lap Pro Stock, 45-lap late model, 29-lap for the NEMA Midget, 50-lap for the NEMA Lights, and the Star Antique Racers go about 15 laps in their feature as they throw back in time. Unbelievable lineup here of racing. That does mean our Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsmen and our Kaz's Auto Body Sport Trucks are off on this night. However, definitely not an event that you want to miss here, as the Nick's Pit Stop Legend Cars compete on Friday with the Bandoleros, the Sport 4s, and the Pure Stocks. And then when you get to Saturday night, you got a big one there as well with the NEMA Midgets in town at the Boston Louis. You can buy your tickets online for all of the Seekonk Speedway events today This is on SeekonkSpeedway.com. Click on the link that says tickets. It's going to take you to our ticketing platform. You can buy all your tickets online for the remaining events this year, not only this weekend, but all the races coming up in 2023, including things like Saturday night, July 22nd. The Pro All-Star Series will be in town on Saturday night, July 29th. And, of course, we've also got some big events coming up on the Midsummer Thrill Show on August the 5th. That's going to be a big show, Saturday night, August 5th. I mean, there's so many different things coming up throughout the summer months that you are not going to want to miss here at Seekonk Speedway. And I can tell you right now, buying your tickets online saves you time at the track on race day. You don't have to wait in the long lines. You don't have to wait at the gates to get your tickets. And it really just helps you out in general with saving a little bit of money, a couple bucks here and there too, if you buy them ahead. So definitely do that at SeekonkSpeedway.com. And follow us on social media. Facebook is where we update probably the most, but we also update our Twitter from time to time and our Instagram page pretty often. So check those out as well. There's a lot going on here in the next couple weeks at Seekonk Speedway. We want to see you out at the races, Fast Friday and NASCAR Saturday. 3 weeks in a row here, July 14 and 15, July 21, 22, and July 28, 29. Both nights of racing will be on tap. Well, that is a nice wrap-up to this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind podcast series. I want to thank Collin Vanasse for joining us on the last segment. Great to have him on the show here to talk about his history a little bit and his first career win. Congratulations to him. We will have some more guests here as the season goes along. Again, I say it every week, but if you're a fan out there and you want to see a specific guest, let us know who. Let us know what they do, what they race if we don't know. And I'm sure we'll know, or at least I'll know. But let us know if you want to see them on the podcast, and I'll do my best to get them on here so we can talk to them and get the fans what they want. I am out here to strive to the fans. That's what I'm here for. All right, for this week's edition, want to thank Ed St. Germain, as always, for pushing the buttons to put it out behind the scenes. Want to thank Collin Vanasse for his generous time, and congrats to him. Nicholas Bulkley and Mike Hannafin on their first career wins, and congrats to all of our other feature winners that took the checkered flag over the weekend of racing. Actually, a couple weeks of racing here, recap on the Race Day Rewind podcast. I'm Kyle Souza. So long, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you at the races.